For
This
thousands
is the
of
current
years,
reach of
the
our
Galactic
defensive
Council
grid.
ruled the known
This
galaxy.
is not defense,
It was the
Admiral.
highest authority among the stars. Hundreds of alien civilizations respected its laws, and thousands more wanted to join it. Becoming a member of the Council was never easy. Every species had to pass a long series of evaluations. The tests measured science, medicine, engineering, diplomacy, economics, and military power. Most civilizations spent decades preparing for them. Humanity passed the scientific tests. They passed the economic tests. They passed the diplomatic tests. But one final evaluation remained: the military demonstration. Many ancient species believed humans were still inexperienced. Earth had entered interstellar politics only a few generations earlier. Compared to civilizations that had ruled space for thousands of years, humanity looked young and untested. Some alien senators openly questioned whether humans belonged among the major powers of the galaxy. During one heated council session, Senator Vicker of the Draft Union stood before the assembly. "If humanity wishes to stand beside the great civilizations," Vicker said, "then let them prove their military capability. A simple demonstration will settle the matter." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some delegates supported the idea. Others simply wanted entertainment. A few hoped humanity would fail and lose influence. In the end, the council approved the proposal. The official request was sent to Earth. To the surprise of many observers, humanity accepted immediately. There were no negotiations, no delays, and no complaints. The response arrived only hours after the request. Humanity agrees to the demonstration. The speed of the answer made several alien officials uneasy. Species that feared embarrassment usually asked for time to prepare. Humans did not. Days later, representatives from hundreds of worlds traveled to the largest military testing range in known space. The range orbited a dead star in an empty system, far from any inhabited planets. Massive observation platforms floated around the star. Each platform held senators, admirals, scientists, and journalists. Thousands of cameras broadcast the event across the galaxy. Billions watched from their home worlds. Excitement filled the stations. Most spectators expected a short display. They imagined a few weapons tests, some impressive explosions, and a final ranking. Many believed humanity would finish near the bottom of the list. Then an announcement appeared on every screen. The human demonstration will be conducted by a single officer. Laughter broke out across several observation decks. "A single officer?" one alien admiral said. "Is this a joke?" Military demonstrations normally involve fleets, research teams, and senior commanders. No species had ever sent one person to represent its entire military. The screen shifted to a live image from a human warship. A woman stood alone on the bridge. She wore a dark navy uniform with silver insignia. Her posture was relaxed, and her expression was calm. She did not look nervous. She did not look excited. She simply waited. The caption identified her: Commander Elena Hayes. Several alien delegates exchanged confused looks. That is the representative? Where's the fleet? Where are the military advisors? Commander Hayes gave no speech. She stood quietly as technicians completed final checks. Behind her, the bridge crew moved with steady confidence. The council chairman appeared on the central screen. "Commander Hayes," he said, "the council thanks humanity for participating. The demonstration may begin when you are ready." Hayes nodded once. Understood. Her voice was calm enough to make several observers uncomfortable. The first test target drifted into position. A reinforced combat drone located over 1 million kilometers away. The target was small, fast, and protected by military-grade shielding. Alien analysts immediately began discussing probabilities. Most believed the distance was too great for accurate fire. Even advanced targeting systems struggled at that range. On the human bridge, Hayes studied the holographic display. "Target locked," a crew member reported. "Fire 1 round," Hayes ordered. Many spectators expected a missile launch or an energy beam. Instead, the human ship released a single projectile from a long magnetic cannon mounted beneath the hull. The shot was almost invisible against the darkness of space. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the target disappeared in a flash of white light. The drone was gone. Not damaged, not disabled, completely destroyed. Silence spread across the observation platforms. Alien technicians checked their sensors. Some suspected a malfunction. Others searched for hidden weapons. The results were confirmed seconds later. Direct hit, single shot, target eliminated. A low murmur replaced the silence. Several admirals sat forward in their seats. Perhaps a lucky shot, one of them said. Hayes gave another order. Next target. A second drone appeared, this time moving at high speed. The human rail cannon fired again. The second target exploded instantly. A third target entered the range. Another shot, another direct hit. The crowd grew quieter with each success. Commander Hayes remained expressionless. To her, the test seemed routine. On the observation decks, military experts began comparing the results with existing council records. Humanity had already exceeded several performance benchmarks in only a few minutes. Senator Vicker watched the screens with narrowed eyes. The confidence he had shown during the council debate was fading. Still, many spectators believed the Real Challenge had not started yet. Then Hayes looked toward the camera for the first time. "That concludes a warm-up," she said. "We are ready for the actual demonstration." The word sent a chill through the observation decks. If this was only a warm-up, what would the real demonstration look like? Across the galaxy, billions of viewers leaned closer to their screens. For the first time that day, the Galactic Council began to wonder whether they had misunderstood humanity completely. And the demonstration had the silence on the observation platforms lasted several seconds. No one expected humanity's opening performance to be so precise. The military experts who had spent years studying weapon systems across the galaxy were already confused. The human rail cannon had destroyed every target with perfect accuracy. Not one shot had missed. Yet Commander Elena Hayes called it a warm-up. That single sentence now echoed through every observation deck. We are ready for the actual demonstration. Many delegates exchanged nervous looks. The council chairman cleared his throat. "Commander Hayes, are you saying the previous targets were not part of the official test?" Hayes nodded calmly. "They were part of the test." The chairman relaxed slightly. Then Hayes continued. "They were simply the easiest part." The room fell silent again. Several alien admirals frowned. One of them, a famous military strategist from the Cart Dominion, leaned toward his microphone. "Commander Hayes, the targets were over 1 million kilometers away." "Correct," Hayes replied. "They were protected by military-grade shielding." "Correct. They were moving at combat speeds." "Correct." The admiral stared at her. "And you consider that easy?" Hayes simply nodded. The admiral suddenly wished he had not asked. Across the galaxy, billions of viewers watched the exchange. For the first time, people stopped laughing at humanity. Something unusual was happening. Something nobody had expected. The council chairman looked at the military committee. The committee members quietly discussed their options. Finally, one of them stood. It was Admiral Terex, commander of one of the largest fleets in the galaxy. "If humanity believes those targets were easy," he said, "then I suggest we proceed to the velocity trial." Whispers immediately spread through the audience. Everyone knew about the velocity trial. It was considered one of the most difficult military tests ever created. In fact, many civilizations refused to attempt it. The trial used hundreds of combat drones moving in unpredictable directions at extreme speeds. No targeting system could perfectly predict their movement. Even the most advanced artificial intelligences struggled with it. For centuries, civilizations had competed to set records in the trial. The highest score ever achieved was 63%. That record had stood for over 200 years. Nobody had come close to beating it. The council chairman looked at Hayes. "Commander, do you accept the challenge?" "Of course," she replied. The answer came so quickly that several delegates blinked. No hesitation, no discussion, no concern. Hayes acted as though she had been expecting it. The observation platform shifted into high alert mode. Thousands of additional sensors activated. Scientists prepared recording equipment. Military analysts opened fresh data files. Even the journalists became unusually quiet. Everyone sensed something important was about to happen. Minutes later, the testing range transformed. Hundreds of combat drones emerged from launch platforms scattered across the system. Each drone was small, fast, heavily armored, and completely unpredictable. Their movement patterns were generated by advanced combat algorithms. The drones accelerated immediately. Some moved left, others moved right. Some changed direction every few seconds. A few accelerated to speeds that made them almost impossible to track. The giant display screens showed the battlefield. Even experienced officers found it difficult to follow. The drones looked like tiny flashes of light racing across space. The council chairman spoke. Velocity trial begins in 10 seconds. A countdown appeared. 10, 9, 8. The atmosphere became tense. 7, 6, 5. Across the galaxy, billions watched in silence. 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin. Instantly the drone scattered. Hundreds of targets flew in every direction. Many spectators expected the human ship to struggle. Some expected immediate failure. Instead, Commander Hayes remained calm. She didn't even move. A young crew member looked toward her. Target package active, Commander. Hayes nodded. Proceed. The crew member hesitated. Manual or automated? Hayes looked surprised. Automated, obviously. Several alien officers overheard the answer through the communication feed. Their expressions changed immediately. Automated? No military used automation during the velocity trial. Artificial intelligence could not react quickly enough, or so everyone believed. The human targeting system activated. For a moment, nothing happened. Then space exploded with light. Dozens of rail cannons fired simultaneously. Streams of projectiles crossed the battlefield. One drone exploded. Then another. Then 10 more. The destruction happened so quickly that many viewers could not follow it. Targets vanished across every screen. Explosions appeared everywhere. The score counter began climbing. 15%, 20%, 28%, 35%. The audience stared. Nobody spoke. The percentage continued rising. 42%, 50%, 58%. The old record holder shifted nervously in his seat. His famous score was approaching. Then the counter reached 63%. The ancient record was tied. Cheers erupted from some human observers watching from Earth. But Hayes showed no reaction. The trial was still running. The score climbed higher. 64%, 66%, 70%. Gasps spread to the observation platforms. A new record, a new galactic record. And the drones were still being destroyed. 73%, 78%, 82%. The military committee stared in disbelief. Some analysts began checking their equipment for errors. There had to be a mistake. No targeting system should be performing this well. The score continued climbing. 87%, 91%, 95%. Now panic was replacing confusion. The impossible was happening. Entire generations of military theory were collapsing before their eyes. The final drones attempted emergency evasive maneuvers. They accelerated wildly, changed direction, activated countermeasures. Nothing worked. Human projectiles intercepted every target. The last drone exploded. The battlefield became silent. For several moments, nobody understood what they were seeing. Then the final score appeared. 100%. Every target destroyed. Not one escaped. Not one survived. The observation platforms fell completely silent. No applause. No celebration. Only shock. The impossible challenge had been completed perfectly. For the first time in the history of the Galactic Council, Commander Hayes glanced at the final report. Acceptable. The simple word nearly caused several admirals to choke. Acceptable? Humanity had just achieved something no civilization believed possible, and she called it acceptable. The council chairman slowly stood. His hands were trembling. Commander Hayes? His voice sounded weaker than before. How did you do that? Hayes looked toward the camera. A small smile appeared on her face. The same way humans solve most problems. The audience waited. What way? Someone asked. Hayes folded her arms. We prepared for challenges everyone else believed were impossible. The answer only created more questions. And deep inside the military committee, a frightening realization was beginning to form. Humanity had not arrived unprepared. Humanity had expected every challenge the Council could create, and perhaps much worse. Then an urgent message appeared on the chairman's console. After reading it, his face turned pale. A senior inspector from the military committee had made an official request. They wanted to board the human ship immediately, because many experts no longer believed what they were seeing. They suspected humanity was hiding something, and they intended to find out the truth. For several long seconds, nobody spoke. The giant screen still displayed the final result of the velocity trial. 100%. Every target destroyed. Every drone eliminated. Every record broken. The number seemed impossible. Across hundreds of observation platforms, military officers stared at the screens as if they expected the score to change. But it never did. The result was real. The greatest military challenge in Galactic Council history had been completed perfectly. Commander Elena Hayes stood calmly on the bridge of her ship. She showed no excitement, no pride, no celebration. To her, it looked like another ordinary day. That simple fact worried the Council more than the score itself. The Council chairman finally broke the silence. Commander Hayes, a formal inspection team has requested access to your vessel. Hayes nodded. Permission granted. The answer came immediately. Several senators exchanged surprised looks. Most civilizations became defensive when inspectors wanted access to military technology. Humanity seemed completely unconcerned. The chairman hesitated. You understand that the purpose of the inspection is to verify there was no hidden technology involved. Hayes gave a small smile. We understand. Again, no concern. Again, no hesitation. That confidence made many delegates even more nervous. Hours later, an inspection shuttle departed from the observation platform. Inside sat some of the finest military experts in the galaxy. Among them was Admiral Terex, the same admiral who had proposed a velocity trial. He stared through the shuttle window as the human ship slowly grew larger. It was officially designated as the HNS Resolute. Compared to many alien warships, it looked surprisingly ordinary. No massive weapon arrays, no glowing superweapons, no intimidating armor. In fact, the ship appeared smaller than many frontline vessels used by major powers. That made no sense. Nothing about humanity made sense anymore. The shuttle docked with the vessel. Moments later, the inspection team entered the ship. The first surprise came immediately. The interior looked simple. Clean metal walls, functional equipment, organized workstations, no extravagant decorations, no advanced alien-looking technology. The vessel seemed practical, built for function rather than appearance. Commander Hayes greeted the visitors personally. Welcome aboard. Admiral Terex studied her carefully. He expected arrogance after humanity's performance. Instead, she seemed relaxed, almost friendly. Thank you for allowing the inspection, Terex said. Hayes shrugged. You asked. We agreed. The team began its work. Every system was examined. Every weapon was inspected. Every computer was analyzed. Hours passed. Then more hours. The inspectors checked everything. Targeting systems, navigation systems, power generation, weapon controls, artificial intelligence, communication networks. Nothing unusual appeared. Everything functioned exactly as humanity claimed. The targeting computers were advanced but legal. The rail cannons followed council regulations. The sensors used standard technology. There was no hidden supercomputer, no illegal enhancements, no secret alien technology. The inspectors became increasingly frustrated. They knew they had witnessed something extraordinary, yet they could not find the reason. Late in the evening, Admiral Terex entered the ship's tactical control room. Human technicians worked quietly around him. One wall displayed maintenance schedules. Another showed training statistics. A third displayed mission records. Terex paused. Something caught his attention. He walked closer. Then his eyes widened. The screen listed the ship's classification. At first, he thought he had read it incorrectly. He checked again. Then a third time. The words remained unchanged. His heart began beating faster. Immediately, he contacted Commander Hayes. Minutes later, they stood together in the tactical room. Terex pointed at the display. "What is this?" Hayes glanced at the screen. "Oh!" Her expression remained calm. Terex stared at her. "Is this accurate?" "Yes." The Admiral could hardly believe it. "No." Hayes folded her arms. "Yes." The room became silent. Other inspectors slowly gathered around. One by one, they saw the same information. One by one, their faces changed. Because the ship classification listed the HNS Resolute as something completely unexpected. Training vessel. Not battleship. Not frontline cruiser. Not combat flagship. Training vessel. The inspectors felt cold. Terex looked at Hayes. "This vessel is used for training?" "Mostly. Training recruits?" "Among other things." Nobody spoke. The realization spread through the room like a disease. Every record humanity had broken, every impossible achievement, every perfect shot, every destroyed target, all of it had been performed by a training ship, not a frontline warship, not one of humanity's best vessels. A training ship. One inspector laughed nervously. Another thought it was a joke. A third checked the records repeatedly. The answer never changed. Commander Hayes watched them quietly. Finally, Terex found his voice. "If this is a training vessel..." He stopped. For the first time in decades, he was afraid to ask a question. Hayes waited patiently. Eventually he finished. "If this is a training vessel, then what do your frontline warships look like?" The room became completely silent. Human technicians stopped working. Even they seemed interested in the answer. Hayes looked around the room. Then she smiled. Not proudly, not arrogantly, just calmly. "The answer depends." "On what?" Terex asked. "On how much danger humanity expects." Nobody understood. Hayes activated a nearby holographic display. Images appeared above the table. Old photographs. Ancient Earth. Natural disasters. Volcanoes. Earthquakes. Storms. Wildfires. Wars. The inspectors watched in confusion. "What does this have to do with military design?" one asked. Hayes looked at the images. Everything. The hologram changed again. Predators appeared. Dangerous animals. Hostile environments. Frozen wastelands. Burning deserts. Deep oceans. Human history unfolded before them. A history filled with struggle. A history filled with survival. "We evolved on a dangerous world," Hayes said. "We learned something very early." The inspectors listened carefully. When danger appears, being prepared matters more than being comfortable. The hologram shifted again. Now it displayed human starships. Dozens of them. Then hundreds. Then thousands. Ships larger than anything present in the testing system. The room suddenly felt smaller. Terex stared at the images. Many vessels dwarfed the HNS Resolute. Some looked powerful enough to destroy entire fleets. Others appeared so massive that they barely seemed possible. His throat became dry. "These are active vessels?" Hayes nodded. "Most of them." The Admiral felt a wave of unease. For centuries, the major powers had believed humanity was a minor military force. Now that belief was collapsing. Humanity had hidden its strength remarkably well, and apparently they had done so intentionally. One inspector finally asked a question everyone feared. "Commander," Hayes looked toward him. "Yes." "How powerful is humanity's strongest weapon?" The room froze. Even the human crew became quiet. For the first time all day, Hayes did not answer immediately. Instead, she looked through the bridge window toward the distant stars. Then she spoke softly. "That is not something we usually demonstrate." The inspectors exchanged nervous glances. The answer itself was frightening, because it sounded less like a refusal, and more like a warning. The inspection team returned to the observation platforms, carrying more questions than answers. For hours, the Galactic Council waited for their report. The atmosphere across the station had completely changed. Only a day earlier, many delegates had viewed humanity as an ambitious young species trying to earn respect. Now, Those same delegates were beginning to wonder if humanity had been quietly hiding its true strength all along. Inside the Grand Council chamber, the emergency session began. Thousands of representatives filled the enormous hall. The inspection team stood before the assembly. Admiral Tarek stepped forward. His voice was unusually serious. The inspection has concluded. The chamber became silent. No evidence of cheating was found. Whispers spread immediately. The human targeting systems are legal. More whispers. Their weapons are legal. Several senators looked confused. Their artificial intelligence systems are legal. The room became louder. Then Terex delivered the statement that changed everything. The vessel used during the demonstration was not a frontline combat ship. Silence returned instantly. Every eye focused on him. It was a training vessel. For a moment, nobody reacted. Then the chamber exploded into noise. Arguments erupted everywhere. Senators stood from their seats. Military commanders exchanged shocked looks. Journalists rushed to send reports. The council chairman repeatedly struck his desk to restore order. Eventually, the room became quiet again. One elderly senator stood. "Are you saying humanity broke every military record using a training ship?" Terex nodded. "Yes." The senator slowly sat down. He looked older than he had a minute earlier. Across the galaxy, billions of viewers watched the live broadcast. Humanity had become the most discussed topic in known space. Meanwhile, aboard the HNS Resolute, Commander Elena Hayes received an unexpected message. The Galactic Council wished to continue the demonstration. Specifically, they wanted to witness humanity's strongest weapon. Hayes stared at the message for several seconds. Unlike every previous request, she did not answer immediately. That alone worried her crew. One officer looked up. "Commander?" Hayes remained silent. The bridge became unusually quiet. Finally, she sighed. "Send my response." The communications officer nodded. "What should I tell them?" Hayes looked out the viewport. Beyond the glass stretched an endless ocean of stars. Then she spoke. "Tell them humanity advises against this demonstration." The officer blinked. "Against it?" "Yes." The crew exchanged surprised looks. Humanity had accepted every challenge so far. Why refuse now? The message was sent. Minutes later, the council responded. Their answer was simple. Request denied. They still wanted the demonstration. Hayes closed her eyes for a moment. It was exactly the response she expected. Back inside the council chamber, many senators believed humanity was bluffing. Some thought the mysterious weapon did not exist. Others believed humans were exaggerating. Senator Vicker was among them. "The request stands," he declared. "If humanity possesses such power, the council deserves to see it." Many delegates agreed. They wanted answers. They wanted certainty. Most importantly, they wanted to know where humanity truly ranked among the powers of the galaxy. Hours later, Commander Hayes appeared before the council through a live holographic connection. The chamber immediately became silent. Hayes looked directly at the assembled representatives. "You are making a mistake." The statement surprised everyone. The council chairman frowned. "Commander, are you refusing a lawful request?" "No." Hayes shook her head. "I'm warning you." A chill spread through the room. Warnings from military officers were common. Warnings from calm military officers were dangerous. The chairman folded his hands. "Explain." Hayes remained silent for a few moments. When she finally spoke, her voice was quieter than before. Humanity developed certain weapons during a period of uncertainty. The giant screens behind her displayed old historical footage, ancient human warships, defensive fleets, military shipyards. Several centuries ago, humanity encountered threats we were not prepared for. Images showed devastating battles, burning colonies, destroyed stations, refugee fleets. Many delegates had never seen this part of human history. Humanity rarely spoke about it. "We survived," Hayes continued, "but survival taught us a lesson." The images changed again. Now enormous construction projects appeared. Massive orbital facilities, gigantic military platforms, research complexes larger than cities. We decided that humanity would never be unprepared again. The chamber listened carefully. Hayes looked directly at the senators. Everything you've seen so far was designed for conventional warfare. The room became very quiet. Conventional warfare? If rail cannons capable of impossible accuracy were conventional, what counted as unconventional? Then the holographic display changed again. A new image appeared. At first, many delegates thought they were looking at a small moon. Then scale markers appeared. The chamber gasped. It wasn't a moon. It was a weapon, a colossal structure floating in deep space. Its diameter measured hundreds of kilometers. Entire fleets could dock inside it. The platform dwarfed every known warship. Even experienced admirals stared in disbelief. "What is that?" someone whispered. Hayes answered immediately. "The Atlas platform." The name echoed through the chamber. Military databases searched automatically. Nothing appeared. The platform was completely unknown. "That is your strongest warship?" asked Vicker. Hayes shook her head. "No." The answer created another wave of confusion. "If it isn't a warship, then what is it?" Hayes looked almost reluctant to answer. Finally she spoke. "It is a deterrent." Many delegates frowned. The word was familiar, yet the way she said it sounded different. The council chairman leaned forward. "What does it deter?" For the first time, Hayes hesitated. The entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Then she answered, "Extinction." The room fell completely silent. No one spoke. No one moved. The meaning of the words settled heavily over the chamber. This was not a weapon built to win battles. This was a weapon built to ensure humanity survived any threat, no matter how powerful, no matter how impossible. The chairman slowly stood. "Commander Hayes?" His voice sounded uncertain. "What exactly does the Atlas platform do?" Hayes stared at him. Several long seconds passed. Then she gave an answer that sent fear through every military officer present. "It removes targets." The chairman blinked. "Removes them?" Hayes nodded. "Completely?" No one understood. Not yet, but everyone felt the danger behind those words. The council debated for nearly an hour. Some senators wanted to cancel the demonstration. Others insisted on continuing. Eventually, curiosity won. The official order was issued. The Atlas platform would perform a single demonstration. One target. One firing sequence. One proof. Nothing more. When Hayes received the order, she looked genuinely disappointed. Not angry. Not frustrated. Disappointed, as if the galaxy was about to learn something she wished had remained secret. The next day, fleets from hundreds of civilizations gathered at a safe distance. The Atlas platform slowly emerged from hyperspace. The moment it appeared, every conversation stopped. The structure was larger than anyone imagined. It dominated space itself, like an artificial world, like something built by a civilization preparing for the end of everything. And deep inside the observation platforms, a terrible realization began to grow. Humanity had never feared showing its strength. Humanity had feared showing what came after strength failed. The Atlas platform hung silently in space. It did not look like a weapon. It looked like an artificial world. Its massive structure stretched across hundreds of kilometers. Thousands of lights glowed along its surface. Gigantic docking bays lined its outer shell. Entire fleets could have hidden inside it. Yet according to humanity, this enormous construct existed for one purpose: survival. Across the observation platforms, military officers stared at the giant structure with growing unease. Every sensor in the system was focused on the Atlas platform. Scientists monitored energy levels. Engineers monitored power systems. Military analysts monitored every movement. Nobody wanted to miss what came next. The target had already been selected. A dead moon. It orbited a distant gas giant near the edge of the system. The moon had no atmosphere, no life, no strategic value. It existed solely because the council wanted a target large enough to survive almost any weapon. Most delegates believed the demonstration would create a large crater, maybe a few craters, possibly break the moon apart. No one expected anything more. Commander Elena Hayes stood on the bridge of the HNS Resolute. Her eyes remained fixed on the Atlas platform. For the first time since the demonstrations began, she looked uncomfortable. A young officer noticed. "Commander?" Hayes turned. "Yes." "Do you think this is a good idea?" She looked back toward the giant weapon. "No." The answer surprised everyone nearby. The officer blinked. "Then why continue?" Hayes sighed. "Because curiosity is stronger than caution." No one replied. Deep down, everyone knew she was right. Throughout history, intelligent species had always wanted answers, even when those answers were dangerous, especially when they were dangerous. Several million kilometers away, the Galactic Council chairman officially opened the demonstration. His voice echoed across every communication channel. The Atlas platform is authorized to begin firing procedures. Instantly, activity spread across the giant structure. Thousands of lights illuminated. Massive energy conduits activated. Entire sections of the platform began glowing. At first, the increase in power seemed normal. Then scientists started looking nervous. Energy levels rose rapidly, far beyond normal military standards. A few moments later, they rose again, and again. The numbers continued climbing. Several observers thought their sensors were malfunctioning. They recalibrated equipment. The readings remained unchanged. The Atlas platform was generating more energy than some civilizations produced in an entire year. The observation platforms became increasingly quiet. One scientist stared at his display. His hands were shaking. "This can't be right." Another scientist checked the numbers, then checked them again. His face turned pale. "It is..." Military analysts exchanged worried looks. No known weapon required this much energy. No known weapon could even contain this much energy. Yet the Atlas platform continued charging. Inside the council chamber, delegates watched the live feed. Many had stopped speaking entirely. Even Senator Vicker looked uneasy now. For the first time since proposing the military evaluation, he was beginning to regret it. A notification appeared on every screen. Warning: energy output exceeding standard military parameters. Then another: warning: energy output exceeding strategic military parameters. Moments later, a third warning appeared. Warning: energy output exceeds historical records. The chamber fell silent. Humanity wasn't just breaking records anymore. They were entering territory nobody had ever measured before. Back on the Resolute, Commander Hayes received an incoming transmission. It came directly from the Atlas platform. She opened the channel. A human officer appeared on the screen. Atlas control reporting. Hayes nodded. Status: primary system stable. Containment: stable. Safety locks: active. The officer hesitated. Then he asked a question. "Commander, are we absolutely certain about this?" Hayes looked toward the distant moon. "No." The officer nodded slowly. It was exactly the answer he expected. The transmission ended. Minutes passed. Energy levels continued rising. The entire system seemed to be waiting. Finally, Atlas Control issued the final announcement. Charging sequence complete. Every screen in the system displayed the same message. Weapon ready. The council chairman swallowed nervously. His voice sounded smaller than before. "You may proceed." The response came immediately. Confirmed. Far away, the Atlas platform moved for the first time. Huge sections of its outer structure shifted. Gigantic armor plates separated. Deep within the platform, something began glowing. A light. At first it appeared small. Then it grew brighter and brighter. Soon it became impossible to look at directly. The energy being concentrated inside the weapon exceeded anything ever witnessed by the Galactic Council. Across the observation platforms, silence ruled. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Then Atlas Control began the countdown. 5. The moon remained motionless. 4. Several delegates held their breath. 3. Scientists stared at their instruments. 2. Military officers felt fear creeping into their thoughts. 1. The galaxy watched. Fire. A beam of light erupted from the Atlas platform. Not a laser. Not an energy blast. Not anything the observers recognized. It was simply a column of pure brilliance crossing space. For a brief moment, The beam connected the platform and the moon. Then it vanished. The entire firing sequence lasted less than a second. Silence followed. Confused murmurs spread to the observation platforms. Some people expected a larger explosion. Others expected a longer display. The moon appeared unchanged, at least at first. Then someone noticed something strange. The moon was fading, not breaking apart, not burning, fading, like a shadow disappearing under sunlight. Millions of observers stared in disbelief. The moon became dimmer, its shape blurred, its surface dissolved into glowing particles. Then those particles vanished as well. Within seconds, nothing remained. The moon was gone, completely gone. No debris, no fragments, no dust cloud, no explosion, nothing, only empty space. The gas giant continued orbiting peacefully, but its moon no longer existed. Across the galaxy, billions of viewers sat frozen. The observation platforms were silent. No one understood what they had just witnessed. One scientist finally whispered the question everyone was thinking. Where did it go? No answer came, because nobody knew. Not even the scientists aboard the Atlas platform fully understood every detail of the weapon. They only knew the result. The target ceased to exist. Inside the council chamber, Senator Vicker slowly sank into his seat. The confidence he once carried was gone. Around him, countless delegates stared at the empty region of space where a moon had existed moments earlier. Commander Hayes finally broke the silence. Her voice echoed across the system. This is why humanity did not wish to perform the demonstration. Nobody replied. What could they say? The evidence was visible before them. Humanity possessed a weapon capable of erasing celestial bodies, not damaging them, not destroying them, erasing them. The realization spread through every military mind present, every fleet, every fortress, every defense network. Everything the galaxy had ever built suddenly seemed fragile, and then something even more frightening happened. The sensors detected additional Atlas platforms. Not one, not two, dozens, hidden across human territory, waiting, watching, prepared. A shocked analyst turned toward his screen. His face had become completely pale. Commander, Hayes looked up. The analyst swallowed hard. How many Atlas platforms does humanity actually have? For the first time all day, Commander Hayes did not answer, and that silence terrified the galaxy more than the weapon itself. The silence after the demonstration felt endless. Across the observation platforms, nobody spoke. Nobody moved. The empty space where a moon had existed only minutes earlier remained on every screen. For thousands of years, the Galactic Council had witnessed powerful weapons. Planets had been bombarded. Fleets had been destroyed. Stars had been manipulated. But this was different. The Atlas platform had not destroyed the moon. It had removed it, as if it had never existed. And now the galaxy had learned that humanity possessed multiple Atlas platforms. Not one, not two, dozens. The realization spread like a shockwave. Every military calculation in the galaxy suddenly became worthless. Every strategic balance had changed. Every assumption about humanity had collapsed. Inside the council chamber, delegates sat frozen in their seats. Even Senator Vicker looked defeated. The proud politician who had demanded proof of human firepower no longer seemed confident. He looked frightened. The council chairman slowly stood. His voice sounded weak. Commander Hayes? She appeared on the central screen, calm as always. Yes, Chairman? The old leader hesitated. For perhaps the first time in his political career, he was unsure what question to ask. Eventually, he chose the simplest one. Why? The single word echoed through the chamber. Hayes looked at him. Why what? Why build weapons like this? The room became silent again. Everyone wanted the answer. Hayes remained quiet for several moments. Then she began speaking, not like a military officer, not like a politician, like a teacher explaining a lesson, because humanity remembers. Confused looks appeared throughout the chamber. The chairman frowned. Remembers what? Hayes activated a holographic display. Ancient images appeared above the council floor. The delegates watched carefully. Earth, floods, earthquakes, volcanoes, storms, wildfires, natural disasters. Then came images of war, ancient battlefields, burning cities, refugee camps, destroyed civilizations. The gallery became silent. We remember weakness, Hayes said softly. The images continued changing. Human history unfolded before the galaxy. Every struggle, every hardship, every disaster, every mistake. We remember what happens when people believe someone else will protect them. Many delegates shifted uncomfortably. Hayes continued. We remember extinction events. The images changed again. Dinosaurs, meteor impacts, mass extinctions, scientific simulations, humanity's long study of survival. We remember how close life came to disappearing forever. The room listened carefully. Nobody interrupted. Nobody dared. Then the images shifted once more. Now they showed humanity's first centuries among the stars. The audience saw early colonies, trade stations, exploration fleets, then war, alien invasions, destroyed settlements, evacuation ships, the same images Hayes had shown earlier. But now the story continued. Human rescue fleets arrived. Emergency shipyards were built. Entire worlds united. Humanity fought back and survived. Hayes looked toward the council. Our species learned one lesson over and over again. The chairman leaned forward. What lesson? Hayes answered immediately. Hope is not a strategy. The word struck the chamber like a weapon, because deep down, every civilization understood them. Humanity had survived because they prepared, not because they were lucky, not because they were stronger, because they were ready. The hologram vanished. The chamber remained silent. Then Senator Vicker slowly stood. His voice trembled slightly. Commander. Hayes looked at him. The senator swallowed. If humanity possesses this level of power, he hesitated, then asked the question everyone feared. Why haven't you conquered the galaxy? The room froze. It was a question hiding inside every mind. Why hadn't humanity used its strength? Why hadn't they seized territory? Why hadn't they become rulers of the stars? Every eye turned toward Hayes. Her answer came instantly. Because conquest is easy. The chamber blinked. Several delegates exchanged confused looks. Hayes continued. Anyone can destroy. Nobody spoke. Anyone can dominate weaker neighbors. Still silence. Anyone can use fear. The words echoed across the chamber. Then Hayes took a slow breath. The difficult part is restraint. For the first time, emotion appeared in her voice. Not anger, not pride, conviction. Power is not proven when you fire a weapon. The room listened carefully. It is proven when you choose not to. Silence followed. The statement carried more weight than any demonstration. More weight than the destroyed moon. More weight than the Atlas platform. Because suddenly the council understood something terrifying. Humanity had possessed these weapons for years, possibly decades. Yet they had never used them aggressively. They had never threatened neighboring civilizations. They had never demanded tribute. They had never attempted conquest. A species powerful enough to dominate the galaxy had chosen cooperation instead. That realization changed everything. The chairman slowly sat down. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Then another delegate rose. An elderly scientist from a civilization older than humanity itself. His voice was quiet. Commander Hayes. Yes. The scientist smiled sadly. I believe we have all been asking the wrong question. The chamber turned toward him. The wrong question? He nodded. The scientist looked around the room. We kept asking how powerful humanity is. Nobody interrupted. He looked toward the giant screen, toward Hayes. That was never the important question. The room waited. The scientist took a breath. The important question is why humanity remains peaceful. A heavy silence followed, because everyone understood. Humanity's strength was no longer in doubt. The only mystery left was their self-control. Hours later, the Galactic Council conducted its final vote. The results appeared on the giant display. For the first time in history, every single member voted the same way. Unanimous approval. humanity received the highest military rating ever recorded, a classification so high that the Council had to create a new category, not because humanity possessed the strongest weapons, but because humanity had demonstrated responsibility while possessing them. The session officially ended. Delegates began leaving. News networks exploded with reports. Military analysts rewrote centuries of doctrine. The galaxy would spend decades discussing what had happened. But before the transmission closed, the chairman asked one final question. A simple question, perhaps the most important one. "Commander Hayes." She looked up. "Yes." The old chairman hesitated, then spoke. "What happens if humanity is ever truly threatened?" The chamber became silent one last time. Hayes looked through the viewport behind her, toward the endless stars, toward the countless worlds scattered across the galaxy. Then she smiled, a small smile, almost sad. "I hope nobody ever finds out." The transmission ended, and for the first time in galactic history, every civilization shared the same thought. Humanity's greatest weapon was never the Atlas platform. It was never their fleets. It was never their firepower. Humanity's greatest weapon was the fact that they chose not to use it.